Where dreaming is a challenge is when you got to dream under the worst circumstances. Yeah. Where you can face trials and tribulations, where you've been hit by unforeseen circumstances, but you don't lose your dream. Yeah. When a crisis come up that you couldn't see coming and you can't figure out the way out, but you keep dreaming anyhow. But you got to learn how to dream beyond your circumstances. Yeah. God has a way of rewarding dreamers. Amen.
When we met him first back in 1993, the little-known Sharpton was, to most white New Yorkers, and a sizable number of black New Yorkers as well, little more than a noisy, pudgy exhibitionist and publicity seeker who could be counted on to show up bullhorn in hand at every racial incident in New York City.
By the time he was a teenager, Al Sharpton was leading demonstrations. This one for Jesse Jackson's Operation Breadbasket in 1971.
All the time, but if you want us to sacrifice, you got to give something back to life. You think I'm vulnerable to your pressure tactics because I shed a tear, You think I'm vulnerable to your violence just cause I'm sitting here, but my babies.
We have to make sure that New York is New York for everyone.
If all 7,000 jobs went to minorities, it wouldn't bring down the 51% figure, but a fraction of a point.
Like him or loathe him, Al Sharpton has now made a big leap from local and vocal activist to the big league of mainstream American politics.
What concrete steps would you make to deal with police brutality?
My shining moment was when the two men that pursued the nomination for president had to walk in the Apollo. It was just some gravy on the rice that I asked the first question.
Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
See, we've been doing it all the time, but if you want us to sacrifice, you got to give something back to life. You can't just come in here like that no more. Snatch up our childhood. You can't just walk on up and replace it, Joe, with your Hollywood. But I see now how all of the words are said.
Clearly you can't on one trip conclude everything, but you certainly can say what you saw and use it as a basis for some real investigation and some real work.
When I say we don't mind, see, we've been doing it all the time, but if you want us to sacrifice, we don't mind. See, we've been doing it all the time, but if you want us to sacrifice, you got to give something back to life. And I said, people, if you hear me now, I want you to say na 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 na. Everybody now, people, if you hear me now, I want you to say na 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 na. That's right, y'all people.
If we finally came to grips with what Martin Luther King Jr. did, taught us, and what he stood for, and lived it out, then we could truly be a nation at peace with itself, and we could be a powerful moral force in the world that could bring all the discordant elements together. And then we would begin to see the beloved community emerge.
We don't mind. See, we've been doing it all the time. But if you want us to sacrifice, you got to give something back